Hi. The topic this month was to write a poem about a summer morning. I found it to be the hardest topic yet because so much has been written over the centuries about summer mornings. I didn't know whether to take a natural point, a philosophical viewpoint, sitting with coffee by the meadow or something like that. But I was thinking about the how Brood 11 of the 17-year periodical cicadas should have been emerging this year. Remember last year in the mid-Atlantic states, the Brood 10 the emergence of Brood 10 was on the news every day in the very late spring and the early summer because there were just so many of them. And that's the same brood that Bob Dylan, back in the early 70s, he thought they were locusts. And when he was at Princeton University, he didn't know what they were, and they interrupted his award that he really didn't want to go and receive anyway. And he wrote the song "Day of the Locust" about what were really cicadas, and that was Brood 10. Now Brood 11 normally should have followed Brood 10, the next year, but it hasn't been. That brood has been considered extinct since at least after 1954. It never emerged in 1971 that anyone could detect. So there was a number of angles I was going to take. Just philosophically, and whether I was thinking about the professor at University of Connecticut who actually, documented the last several emergences of that brood. And I was thinking about how people listening this year, people are actually out listening this year, in Connecticut or Massachusetts, trying to find remnants of the brood and see that it really, is it really extinct? But it's a futile task, obviously, because it hasn't been, seen or heard in so long. But this poem is called "The Story of 11." 11 being Brood 11, and the poor cicadas are no longer with us. The story of 11. The end. The great forgetting. Someone has to bear witness to, if only a black bear padding the drumlin, marking maples. Brood 11, in 1937, tripod-toting birdman rediscovers the colony, thriving. Tymbals trilling, washboard bellies rubbing out love songs. The final emergence. By 1954, underground, the brood had become an anomalous, withered bloodline, draining like morphine the palliative dew, tears of a summer morning. So, there was a note on, I actually put an asterisk, a note after Birdman. And the note says, Jerauld Jed Armington Manter, professor of ornithology and entomology, official, unofficial photographer of the University of Connecticut from 1912 to 1953, and father of Jerauld Jerry Thompson Manter, journalist who coined the name UConn. Widower Jed passed at the age of 100 on a summer day in 1990. Jerry died of Alzheimer's at 89 in 2007. There has been no documented emergence of Brood 11 in 1971, 1988, 2005, or 2022, and the brood is considered extinct. So I found it interesting when I did a little background on this Jerauld Manter, who was a kind of a legendary, or is a legendary figure, both in bird watching, even more so than insects, and the University of Connecticut, because he was there from before it became University of Connecticut, and he was apparently a reserved but esteemed individual. But he was also famous for carrying his camera wherever he went, and he documented the beginnings of the University of Connecticut, and he left over 100,000 negatives and prints of the history of the university in its inception and its early years. And his son, also was an interesting figure. His son, with the same name Jerauld, but a different middle name, he interestingly enough, played on the first University of Connecticut basketball team and became a known journalist. And he coined the term UConn, to denote the University of Connecticut. And we all use that. We all use that now. So I found these to be two very interesting stories that I found just by looking up these 17-year cicadas. Now, there's a lot of cicadas that are still, in different areas, but people find the 17-year cicadas, I think, the most interesting, just because how long they're underground, sucking sap from the roots under the trees, and I think people find hope and magic and things like that. Magic is actually in the name of these cicadas, in their Latin name, and so it's quite interesting. This year there's no 17-year cicada, but there are other cicadas, and there are annual ones that come up every year. But interesting enough, this year there's a 4-year cicada called the World Cup cicada. It emerges in India every 4 years, coinciding with the year of the Soccer World Cup. So I find that to be very interesting. Anyway, the story of 11. There you go.